What's going on?
How are you?
I have to change phones. One of my phones has the COVID-19.
Oh.
Oh, phone's has the COVID-19. I'm good though. I'm good. I thought I was gonna get you on my earpiece, but it's fine. I'll make do. But it's okay. It's quiet. This is my nightly spot, so it's fine. It's my nightly spot.
As you can see, I'm from the usual apartment spot, so it's just me. So hopefully we don't have any mishaps or distractions.
No, hey, we got to do it where we can do it.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to be on your show, man. I've been like a fan since this whole thing started, and I saw your all the guests that you had on your show. It was just like amazing. It was like, wow, I know some of these guys, and they was talking. I'm like, you don't get to see that often. So I was like, very, like, wow. One day I'm gonna be on the show. Boom.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it was funny because, like I said, I tell people when I first started this, I had no idea what I wanted deep cuts to be. I was just
right,
like everybody else, under quarantine and kind of stuck at home and
right,
didn't know how long it was going to last. Didn't know if it was, the East, by Easter we'll be like out and about, or by May. And then here we are in August, and I'm still kind of staying kind of put at home, doing my part, I guess, not to go out too much.
But you know what? It's been a blessing because I've been able to save a lot of money staying at home.
Exactly. A lot of money, a lot of time. You kind of ripped through that work day that you were like, wow, before.
Right.
I was telling people that I know, I was like, before, like when I work in the office, I could have like 3 tasks to do and it would take like all day.
Yes.
And now I have like tasks and I can get them done.
Right.
And by lunchtime, and then have the rest of the day to kind of really organize and really put some thought to some bigger projects that I always put off because I would say I didn't have the mind capacity to deal with those because they would be like 4 o'clock. So, so when I started to do this deep cuts thing, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted it to be or do, and people kind of caught on, and people have been enjoying this whole thing of getting to know people and getting to hear from people and getting to know new brands. And so I took a little summer hiatus to kind of get through some other work and some magazine stuff. And then when I brought it back, I was like, now who can I get to like kick off like the part 2 of this whole thing? And I was like, and I just, and for people who don't know, you have a story coming up in tobacco business. So I had just gone through your whole story for the tobacco business, and I was like, this is a really cool story.
Yes.
And this is somebody that I think, on Deep Cuts, this is about going deeper than just those companies that we all know or see on different websites and different review sites. So it's like, let's just really like go to what the name says, and like, let's really go start going deeper into the cigar industry and bring up some people that people may not know, but I think they're cool people. So like I said, we have about an hour today, or about 55 minutes now. And what I want to do is just kind of go through your story. And as people are listening, hey, if you have questions for Chris, pose them. And when we get a good break in the story, I'll definitely ask Chris. And
yes.
It's a great way, like I said, to kick off kind of like the round 2 of all of this, what I've been doing. So I'm excited to kind of extend my platform to you to help get the word out about what you're doing and your cigars.
And I appreciate it. We're at a great point right now. This whole COVID thing, for some it's been a financial blessing. For others, it's been other things. For us, it's been a stabilization sort of blessing. My team, we've really gotten a lot of things accomplished over this 6-month period. And we're even moving into another brand of cigars, which is like, I'm so excited about. So,
wow.
But my story, for the ones who don't know, I always start off with, I'm the 30-year vet. People are like, you've been at Army 30 years? Yeah, I've done it all, seen it all, more than I want to see. Me, I'm originally from New York, family in North Carolina, family in Dominican Republic, and that's where my tobacco comes from. On the eastern side of the state, as you know, because you're from the area, New Bern, Havelock area is the at the black dirt area of the state. Charlotte is more of the red dirt. So I kind of grew up in that area. Summers there, doing the tobacco, the whole barn thing, picking it, earning my little summer's money, and on the same side as the other side of the water, did the same thing. So after and I'm cutting the story short so we can go to some other things more interesting. Once I actually went to school, Fayetteville State first, and then I moved back to New York. No, in the middle of that, I joined the military. So, military is military. But once I started, once my last duty station, I was in DR, and my uncle approached me, was like, hey, don't you want to, because I'm a big golfer. I love golf. That's like my side chick, so to speak. Golf gets everything, which I haven't been doing lately, but I was playing in a tournament in DR, and he's like, hey, I didn't know you were, a golfer like that. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what about, how many people smoke cigars and play golf? I'm like, man, at least 2 in every foursome. Why? You just do good in cigars. I'm like, man, I don't have time for that, because I already had my retirement set up already, where I was just going to play golf, travel, and just do whatever I want to do. So he's like, come on, I think it'll work for you because you're military, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I already work tobacco. He's like, I know you understand how it works. I'm like, all right, let me think about it. So I thought about it for like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. I'm like, all right, who do we got? So he introduced me to my first blender, which is Francisco de la Cruz, well known in the area. That's my man, always be my man. And then that's where it kicked off. And before I started, though, I understood the hard aspect of the marketing and all that. So I said, let me see, if people gonna like. I wasn't like sold yet. So I'm like, all right, give me like 500 sticks, and I'll just pass them out at my golf tournaments, and I'll pass my card out, and I'll get feedback because people know me. So I was passing them out. It took me like a year. I did it for like a year, golf tournaments, and then everyone's like, yeah, where'd you get these sticks from? These are good. Like, you just handed out these $15 sticks. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't believe it myself. Like, man, these, like seriously, these are good. I'm like, okay, these are golfers. So let me go find some shop owners. So I knew a couple of shop owners in New York, and I just, gave it to him. He's like, hey, try these. He's like, all right. So he's like, yo, where'd you get this from? I'm like, somebody made it for me. He's like, these are really good. I'm like, you can probably sell these. I'm like, get out of here. He's like, yeah, I'm serious. I'm like, all right. So after that period, I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I still wasn't sold. It's still a long process. I was still within like 4 months. So he's like, well, what are you going to call it? I'm like, I don't know. What I'm saying? I don't know. Like, what about Chris Moore cigars? I'm like, nobody's gonna buy a Chris Moore cigar. Come on, man. So I'm like, give me some time. I'll think about it. So as I'm thinking, and I was getting close to my retirement, and I'm reflecting all the stuff that's been going on in my life at the time, and everything led back to where my grandmother was at, and just my childhood. And I'm like, you know what? A lot of things happen in Carolina, through my life. So I'm like, Carolina Blue Cigars. And he's like, why would you name it Carolina? I'm like, I'm not talking about the basketball team. I'm talking about all the hard sweat that was in the tobacco fields. I said, you think about it. We're in DR right now. What's color is the sky? It's like Carolina Blue. I'm like, yes. Smoke Carolina Blues all over the world. So that was the name, that how it generated. I said, well, people will think about, when you go to a store, people like, I can't remember the cigar, but it's from Drew Estates or blah, blah, blah. So, but somebody was like, hey, give me that Carolina cigar. And that's what they remember. So I wanted it to be an easy name. So, and then something that I could expand from. So that's where that came from. And thus the name Carolina Blue Cigar. The funny part is Carolina Panthers was my first customer. Wow. And it just expanded from that point on. And here we are today, Carolina Blue Cigars.
Yeah. So what I'm always interested in when I speak to like a small business owner like you, whenever somebody thinks about having a cigar line, they think about the end product.
Right.
They don't think about the whole arc of the story from
right.
all the little pieces that the not so fun parts.
Right.
So what for you was the most challenging part of getting this whole business venture up and going?
One was, after venturing back, I was smoking, I smoked cigars here and there, all pretty much everywhere. So I'm like, if I do this, I don't want to give the customer just the same cigar somebody already has on the shelf, which all of us try to do. I think a lot of people hear me say that if I'm a boutique cigar guy, I'm a bespoke guy. It's like getting your own custom suit. So I want to give you a cigar that you're not going to find anywhere, so to speak. It's just very few. And, I can name a couple of guys like that now who have cigars out there, but I wanted to be that different guy. So at the same time, I wanted to give the customer an experience. That's what I go with the complexity, tasting the tobacco. I just wanted to give them the whole thing. So when you smoke a Carolina Blue cigar under the, Carolina Blue skies, you're getting that whole experience. And that was the whole selling point of, well, that's what convinced me from my blender and the team that I have now is they wanted to give their customers a great experience. And the team I have now, which is Caesar and Victor from El Fuente, is as soon as I walked in, it was a family thing. So whenever I go somewhere and they smoke, they're like, wow, I'm really enjoying this experience. And that was the whole thing. As long as I can do that, if I can continuously give the customer something different, something that tastes great, I will continue to do it. And I will always push myself to the limit to do that. I'm not going to just say, here, I can roll this and take it. Carolina Blue, you're happy. So I take my time. That was my whole thing. That was one of the things that people appreciated about me, that I took a lot of time about what I was doing. I didn't just rush out, make me some sticks, make me that. So I had to get back into the blending. I had to get back into a lot of things, understand the business. So that's my whole process as it is now. And that's how I am now.
For you, I mean, so you're hands-on, Brando.
Very.
You're not one of these people who just say, wow, I see cigars are making this much money, so I'm going to tap into this market. Like, talk about the importance of really not just like getting into a business just because you think it might make money, but because you're really passionate about that product and that business and that industry.
Well, the one thing I and people who met me early on, it was legacy. I'm like, I'm not just going to get in this to make quick dollars right away. And it was something that went back to my childhood. So I'm like, I can't just produce and say, hey, give me 10 sticks. Let me try them out and throw a band on. No, I want to know. I wanted everything that I put out. I wanted to be my, blood and sweat. My good friend in Charlotte, Damon, we talk about cigars. My other good friend, Leo, we talk about cigars. And I want true feedback. If the cigar sucks, tell me it sucks. Then I can be like, okay. Even I'm hard on it. So I'm not going to say, well, this is like fire. Everybody's going to love it. No, I can smoke something now. Like I'm smoking something I haven't smoked in a while, and I'm gonna in my mind smoke it as a customer, and then smoke it as a owner. But for the most part, I'm smoking as a customer because I want the customer to experience the Carolina Blue thing. So I'm really very hands-on to what we do. My whole thing was, let's act like we've been here for a while. Let's just don't act like we just got here. Let's observe what everybody's doing, follow suit, but kind of go against the grain at the same time, because things evolve. So I'm all about absorbing information, listening to what everybody has to say, meeting people, showing me different ways how to do tobacco, learning about different tobacco. So I know a lot, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah, and who are some of those people or companies that have really kind of opened their doors to you and taught you about the business and how to, like I said, build a brand? Because it's not as easy
No,
as people think it is.
I have to give props one here in Charlotte to Preston. He owns Taylor Smoke here in Charlotte. When he first started out, I guess it was his second year. He was like in a small area. Then I came along and we talked about things. And I also have to give a lot of credit to Maduro's in the Bronx, Raymond. It's like I can pick up the phone anytime and just talk to him about different things, and he'll give it to me 100%. He's like, "No, Chris, don't do that." Or even some of my general friends in the industry, some I just mentioned, that we'll have straight talks. I'll talk to, even when I'm in DR, I go see my man, at the factory. We sit there for hours and we talk about like everything. I think the most incredible experience I have is when I went to the Davidoff processing plant and trying to find tobacco. That was like one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, and they're very honest about how to succeed in the industry. And I just took that. I met like so many different people. My phone is just acting crazy. I can name them all. It's like my first factory is like all the people from like LFD, La Palma, La Aurora, El Artista. They used to come over, and just help me do a cigar because I was trying to make a cigar, and they all came over, and that opened my eyes like so much. Like, this is a family thing right here. This is not about you got the best cigar, you got the best cigar. That's when I knew everybody came to the table, and I could just talk to them like we're just talking right now, and that was so cool. I can name them all day long, but it just wouldn't matter. But from that experience, I took it even further and say, look, I'm going to take you to the next level, and that helped me get into Casa del Monte Cristo. That whole, along with help with other people, but that just helped me sustain a relationship with different, brick and mortars that I have now. So, am I talking too much? I think I'm talking too much.
No, hey, this is like I said, this is about you. So I just like to sit here and listen. Like, I guess, for me, like, I'm curious because like I'm in the media, and
right.
I've been working in the media side since November of 2010.
Okay.
So almost 10 years in the media side. And, it's funny because it's only been until I would say like the last couple of years that I've learned that the cigar industry is as big as it is.
Yes.
Like, it goes beyond the pages of the popular cigar magazines. That's only like a small fraction,
right.
of the industry.
Correct.
And I've been around even like retailers who have their own cigar lines, and they go to some of the media people, and the media people are like, I don't cover those types of cigars. I only cover,
the big boys,
the people who can like pay a crazy amount for a banner ad on a website or a page in a magazine. So like, what's that experience been like for you, just trying to get, like you said, the word of mouth and the awareness out in comparison to some of these other brands that can just email out a press release probably and
right.
in 5 minutes be on 20 different websites and have the retailers calling up saying, I'm ready to buy it right now. What's your experience been like as a small business owner?
In the beginning, I was on that crazy train. I even went out and bought a billboard. I don't know why the hell I bought that. That was like the worst money. I should have just drank it away. But and I don't drink. But I went out and bought a billboard. I see that didn't help. But I just noticed, I'm like, you know what? If you just be personable, relatable, and just put the information out, people, in a sense, it's like people will come, you build it, people will come thing. In a sense, that's true. In a sense, it's not. I was just being like, if somebody would talk to me online, it's me talking to them. So a lot of people understood that, oh, that's the owner. Sometimes I may answer the phone like it's not, or answer the ad like it's not. I'll act like it's someone else, so they won't ask me a bunch of questions. So I act like, oh, that's the marketing person. He'll get back with you later. I do that sometimes. So, you know, because I can tell the crazy questions coming. So, but I think it's I'm just straight. I don't have nothing to hide about this business. It's out there. So even when I went to IPCR 2018, I didn't go last year. I was very, honest with, a lot of people that I met, and another good friend, Don Williams he's a rep at AJ. He helped me with a lot of, decision makes that I had to do. And he introduced me to people, and I was like, look, this is what I'm going to do. I give them a cigar, like, ooh, this is pretty good, and they follow me like, God, this is a genuine guy. So I tell people all the time, even Sean, I have to give Sean some credit too, because I met Sean in Charlotte for the first time, and we've been, contact ever since. Sean Williams, of course, of Cohiba, everybody knows who that is. And he was like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Take your time. And that's what I continue to do. So as I cross different plateaus and I meet certain people, like, different people in the media, like yourself, Cigar Brad, Cigar Table Talk, Cigar Nova, Fred, all these different people, let them spread the word slowly. And however it comes out slowly, that's what I'll meet the demand of. I'm not trying to make $1 million overnight. It's not going to happen. And I'm putting in a lot of work right now to be, successful of what I do. Is for anybody who's ever come to one of my cut lights, it's like this guy looked like he'd been here for 10 years. Because I'm not just going to come up there with 2 boxes and like, hey, buy some cigars. No, I'm not. I'm going to have everything that needs to be done. I watch the professionals do it. This is how it needs to be done. To some point, it's a tradition. So I try to stay within that tradition, but also outside the box a little bit more. So that's all I can tell myself, is just continue to give out good products, continue to be genuine. And if I can't do it, I say I can't do it. I don't make promises that I can't do. So that's all I can be, is myself.
And now, I know a couple months ago, like for Cigars and Leisure, we did the story on Black-owned cigar brands.
Right.
Which it was pretty popular. I mean, it had like 9,000, 10,000 page views. So that was a pretty big deal for us. But since you are one, and you can speak to this, because there's a lot of feedback on this story. So I'm always curious, as you being one of these Black.
Right. Uh-oh, here it comes. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is like one of those like touchy topics that you only hear on Deep Cuts. What is your experience like? Because I heard the entire spectrum of the argument. I heard it from like, good for you all for pointing these businesses out and giving them a platform, to you shouldn't be pointing. It was a complete run of the gamut. So what's it like for you? Speak to that experience.
Me, I can call it on both sides of the spectrum. But when your business is business, the only 2 friends you have are green and plastic. So if you do your business correctly and you give a good product, there's no side. I am what I am. There's no way around it. In the beginning, I didn't want to be seen on my website. I didn't want to be seen on anything that we did. I just wanted the brand to sell itself. And then once people understood, and then they start asking, who's Chris? Here he is right here. Because it shouldn't matter. I know it shouldn't matter, but it does. Because we know the business is mostly Caucasian or Hispanic owned. It is what it is. I mean, right. And you have a very few successful Black owners. Dean, even though he has a Hispanic background, and you have Mark for BMC Blue Magic up there in Nicaragua, and you had Sean in the beginning. So you got a handful. So now you have a shitload, should I say? I'm gonna just say it like it is. Come out, and they see an opportunity. Like, hey, I like cigars. I want to have cigars for my friends. I want to enjoy, the fruits of what it gives. But at the same time, you have, the ones that's been in it for a long time is going to like, okay, do these guys understand the culture of what it takes, and not just throw a ban on a cigar and say, hey, this is yours. You know, so I can understand what those other guys are saying, and I can understand what the guys like me are saying. Like, hey, I like cigars. I wanna do good in this business, and here's my presentation. Is the only thing like I also stress is like, hey, if you're gonna do this, do a great product and understand it from the bottom, from the seed to the shelf.
Right.
And if you can do that, nobody can say anything to you. You like nobody. But if you don't understand any of that in the middle and you're just getting the shelf product, then yes, people are gonna look at you funny. And I get it. You know, when I first came out, one guy said, well, how did you afford to get your own company? I'm like, do you like it or don't you like it?
Right.
You know, and I get it. It's a, you know, backdoor thing, old man's, you know, golf course business deal. I get it, but times are evolving. But in some degree, we still need to keep some of that. But you know, you got women smoking, which is great. You got younger people smoking. When I say younger, over 21. And the industry is getting on a bigger scale, but it's still a small scale. So, but you know, the FDA helped us out last week. You know, that we can keep pushing, and it's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
So,
and I do think the whole bit, I mean, from my experience, is the visibility part is important. And I feel like I was like you. I used to be a behind the scenes kind of person,
right,
where they didn't need to know who Antoine. To me, they didn't need to know who Antoine was. They need to see my work, which
right,
was at the beginning it was graphic design, and then it transitioned into the stories. And then somebody when I was at TPE a couple years ago, that's a trade show for those who don't know. They pointed out, they said, you don't have a brand, and I was like, well, I'm not the brand. I work for a product. And they're like, no, but you need to have your own brand. And you need to have your own personality, because you push a product and you market a product through a brand, like a person, a platform. They trust people. They don't trust just a random brand without a face on it.
correct.
So that was my experience. So it's been a very interesting experience as I get more comfortable as like morphing into this industry and getting out there and interacting. And then, with years like this, with everything that's been going on, it's like, I feel like sometimes I'm the go-to person when somebody was like, well, what do you feel about this controversy? What do you feel about this situation? And I'm like,
Right.
I feel this way, but that's just my experience. It'll probably be a completely different experience for somebody else. And I try to look at both sides. So,
and it was, I mean, it's a pressure that, it's like any business, I guess. You come into something that, I don't want to say it's foreign. It's foreign to some, because you get the end product. All right, thanks. You get the end product, and then you're in a territory where you're not familiar with. So for this particular industry, it was good. To be honest, I didn't want to. Like I said before, I didn't want to do tobacco. I had my mind on something else. But I know how I am. I'll get back into the steps of really get deep into it. So I entrenched myself back into tobacco, like deep. I was, every day, in it every day. So when I go to the shows like TPE, like, and when I went to IPCR, I didn't feel out of place. My social media,
really.
it's like, all right, I'm in it. Like, who does Carolina Blue? I'm like, I do. So, or I don't answer at all. I'm like, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who cares about who thinks about who owns LFD?
Exactly.
Nobody really. Who nobody really thinks about it. They just smoke it. Drew Estates by because his name, part of it because of his name. But if you didn't know who his name was, you're like, all right, I like the cigar. And that's how I look at it. Yeah.
And what I liked about your story too is that when you talk about the product, you talked about the importance of, like I said, within that product, not just around the product, but the experience.
Right.
Because, I don't smoke a lot of cigars.
Right.
But when I do, you always wonder, like, I always look at what part of the tongue is going to stimulate, what part of palate is going to bring to life. And there's some cigars that honestly, they kind of sit at the same part of your palate, there's no stimulation. There's no, like, as you smoke through it, it kind of just settles, and that's it.
Right.
And it's like, that's okay, but it's not exciting. So the part that in the story that I was working on with you for tobacco business, it's like when you talked about the importance of the experience within that product, giving people, a cigar that transitions. Let's talk for people who, because the story hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in a couple weeks. So
ooh, can't wait.
People haven't read that part of the story. So just talk a little bit about, like I said, that experience and what it goes and what it requires to create that kind of experience.
Oh my God. I mean, I tell people all the time, it's harder making a cigar than it is putting it on the shelf. For me, if they don't know you. Because one or two of the cigars that we came up with, it took me about a month to really get it like perfect. I shouldn't say perfect. There's no perfect cigar. To get it where the consumer would like it. Mm-hmm. And then a few took, a week. So that process was like, oh my God. It was educational, informative, stressful, because at the same time, and I tell you why people don't realize this, is when you're making a cigar, you're trying to build its package at the same time. So you build a cigar and you're building a box at the same time, and you going through that, and it's a whole lot of stress for someone my size. Because people know me, I like nice stuff. So, so I'm not gonna give you like a plain old Jane box, and I'm taking advice from guys who's been around for a long time. I'm taking advice from shop owners like Chris. You need real estate. So the transitional point in the cigars was, I want to give the customer, like, it may start at a certain point and end at a certain point. Because most of the cigars on the shelf are like one taste all the way through. So I'm like, I'm boutique. Let me give you two, possibly three, possibly three. So if I can get you three for a good price, I'm giving you a great experience for a low price, and that's like, oh, I want one of those Carolina Blue Cigars. Everybody loves my classic cigars because it was a traditional Dominican, but it had so much transition and flavor in it, and something I need to bring back. So when I went to the new, blends that we have, which I always call the factory the cigar bakery, because it's like a bakery. We have so many blends. I mean, we probably have 600, 700, 800 blends that we can go through and just create different stuff. And on the Nicaraguan side, it's the same thing. So, and just my, what I want to say, my palate is it's not like very particular, but like I said, I try to, like, if I like it, I think somebody else will like it. People like different cigars for different reasons, but I try to stick it in the middle where, like, okay, I think the average person will like, oh, that was pretty tasty. Like, oh. And some people that I know is like, they're like, oh, this was nasty. I'm like, yeah, that's going to sell. That's going to sell. I know that's going to sell because you said it was nasty, and I know it's going to sell. So, things like that. So it's been fun. It's been a hard, it's very stressful. I love what I do, but it's stressful. It's very stressful, just in general. I don't think about, am I putting out a big product? I think about what's next. That's the stressful part. Like, what's next? Like, how far do I want to go? In the beginning, I want to say legacy. So I kind of I'm trying to build it to where it's going to last and walk on its own. So and I'm going really slow with it. And I think we're putting out pretty good products.
Yeah, I see several people have said that they like the Habano.
Yeah, the original. Everybody talks about the original. But we're going to fix that. Like I see my friend Damien, something, yeah, the Habano, Connecticut. That was a great cigar. Um, as everybody knows, sometimes the crops don't turn out the same way. And I could have just threw another one together and say, here you go. But like, no, it's not right. Just like the Brazilian that, uh, came to fruition, we couldn't find the wrappers. So I'm like, I could have put blemished wrappers on it and sold it, but I'm like, no, I want it to be like I've been here for a while. So,
and my friend Humberto said, if it was easy, everyone would have a cigar brand.
exactly. That's
So,
that's my thing. It's like I even talked to him like when I first started. It was like, wow, it was like I'm like, packaging, that's like a pain in the ass. But it has to be right because that's you. The packaging is your signature. You know, it's like you go to a party and if you're not dressed right, people gonna look at you like, why are you here?
right.
So it's the same thing with the packaging. It doesn't have to be like, some outlandish thing, but it has to be, it fit who you are. And that's kind of what we do about it. So.
If you, the cigar industry is all about collaborations. So if you had the chance to collaborate with anybody in the industry,
Who would it be?
yeah.
That's funny that you asked that question because I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. It's two people I would definitely want to collaborate with Dean from Epic. And I would want my old blender to collaborate with my new blender.
Oh, wow. To see what they would come up with.
Oh my God. If those two got together, it would be crazy. Crazy. So, but those are the two. I like a guy from Warped. He does some good stuff, and I know that's Aganorsa stuff. But I'm not deep into them like that. I'm more into like Dean. I haven't really smoked any of Sean's. I smoked one of Sean's already, but Dean, when we talk for a while, so I'm kind of digging him. But I definitely want to get my old blender with my new blender, and
I've been asked to ask you about Tres Niñas.
my three daughters. Yes, my three daughters. That is it's gonna be an awesome project. I got one stick that might be ready. I have to definitely that has to be so perfect because I love my three daughters that I have, especially my youngest one that I already know what hers is going to be. So it's going to be from three different regions, a Nicaraguan, a Dominican, and I'm yet to determine which the third one's going to be. Hopefully I can get a Honduran, but I want to mix them all together and just have three different sticks to represent those three of their personalities. So that'll be the Tres Niñas.
And how excited were you with the recent FDA stuff that has gone on that kind of gives everybody a little bit more time to operate, I would say, as usual?
What's crazy about that? The day that came out, the FDA emailed me and said, "Hey, we got your account open. You can upload," which is crazy. So then I'm reading the articles like, let me go get something to drink. So I was like ecstatic. So it's like some pressure, but me, I'm gonna still get the stuff done because I don't want them to come back and say we didn't get it done and you didn't have what you needed to have. So I'm gonna give them what they need, but it's no pressure now. So I don't have a pressure date in 2 weeks. So I'm good to go. So I'm happy about that, and I have to spend a ton of money to do it, which is great.
Damon says to ask you about what's holding up Lorena.
I think we got a lot of damn questions. Lorena, it's the only thing that's holding up Lorena is I cannot find the wrappers. I cannot find Brazilian Aparaca wrappers worthy enough to go on that cigar. That's the only thing. Other than that, all the other tobacco is ready to go. But it's the wrappers. If you don't have the right wrappers and you throw some other mess on there, it'll just mess up everything. So that is the answer, Damon. That is the answer.
Now, when you aren't smoking your own cigars, what brands are you kind of gravitating towards right now? Or what recent releases are getting you excited?
During this whole COVID thing and I've been smoking everybody's stuff. Some good stuff, some not so good stuff. But the one that I usually go back to, like Damon again, introduced me to a Warp cigar. I like his brand because it's I don't want to say it's similar to mine, but he does some things to it. I like Dapper cigars. Who else did I smoke that I enjoyed? I smoked. I like CLE cigars when I have them. But other than that, I've been smoking all the boutique stuff. I mean, I've smoked probably 60% of them. 60% of them. So I smoked a lot.
Well, I think you see a lot of fun things coming out of the boutique area of the industry. I mean, it's every year to me that boutique people are the ones who are kind of playing around the most, and they're not afraid to kind of go up against the grain,
right,
and do something completely like left field. Like the other ones, it's a little bit of a coordinated, like this is going to fit into our marketing plan, this is going to fit into like the brand voice,
right,
so on and so forth, and that works for them. But the boutique people, you know, like I think of like Matt Booth. I mean, they're always willing to kind of like go outside the lines, which is
right,
to me how they build their following and they have their success.
Exactly. And that was you know, and just like I'll go into the shop and say, hey, what you got new? Hey, give me something. I just want to smoke it just because I want to not to see where I fit, but to see what people are doing. So, you know, not try, you know, I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing with that. I'm like, okay. So when I'm actually, then I'll, you know, a couple of weeks later, I'll come back to mine and I'll smoke it. I'm like right there. You know, like, okay, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. No, I'm just going to stay right where I'm at. But it's good to, like, I tell owners all the time, smoke everybody else's stuff. Don't worry about yours. You got a ton of your own stuff. Smoke everybody else's, because when you do an event, they're going to say, I smoked this or I smoked that. So you're going to know which stick to give them to compare to what they smoke. And, or you might want to introduce them to something different. So that's how I usually go with that. Like tonight, you know, last week I was on this Nicaraguan kick, trying to get the new blend that I want, and I like stopped smoking them, so I can kind of change my palate a little bit, you know, get it dried out, and go back to it again, so I'll know what's going on. So I kind of switch from region to region, 2 weeks here, a week there. You know, I don't do a Dominican and Nicaraguan and a Honduran. I'll just usually do the whole region in one night or 2 days or something like that. So
now this year, like you said, it's been a little bit different because of COVID,
right,
and not being able to travel as much and get out there. So how have you been? I know you said you've gotten a lot done in this last half a year. You know, how has this year been for you as a small business owner? Like, what is something that you were able to actually get done that you don't think you would have been able to get done were we living under an alternate reality now without COVID?
Well, I have to shout out, you know, my marketing operations person that really like stepped up and helped me out with a lot of the marketing stuff. So we got all new everything, like everything. Everything has been replaced. We redid the bands over. Everything was redone, and I couldn't have done it without her. So that was the main focus. I wasn't worried about making money. I wasn't worried about any of that. That was the, you know, I originally was supposed to launch again in April. So all this happened. I'm like, wow, this is an opportunity for me to really get this down. So I'm like, let me fix everything over the next couple of months, push a couple of sticks out for people to try. Then about this time of the year, come out with everything and then launch later. So that's where that's what COVID helped me do. Dot all the I's, cross all the T's. And I'm happy about it. You know, some people made out like a fat rat. When it's time to go to TPE, like I'm gonna go, you know, I was able to do the trade show, you know, backdrop and all that. I was able to get that done. I don't think I would have been able to get that done on time if I was actually still getting cigars out there. So it gives me a time to stop and just pick a project, work it, pick a project, work it. So
yeah, especially with TPE. I mean, you saw the announcement today that
I
they
did.
reschedule it to May so that we won't have to hopefully walk around
with mask on.
With mask on and one-way aisles and all this weird stuff that was just going to make it a not so great event overall. I was not looking forward to it.
Right.
So I'm hoping with it being moved, I'm hoping things will be a little bit different now, basically a little under a year from now with that. But, you know, like you said, it gives you at least a little bit more time to get ready for this kind of big re-debut or second coming, I would say,
right,
for your brand.
So how is that going to affect the closeness of PCA?
Well, for me personally, I think PCA is its own show. Like, it's more like PCA used to be when I was going in 2015, like my first show. It had a lot of stuff like TPE, like it had your vapor companies and your e-cigarettes, and they had their own corner of the trade show. And then there was this big shift where it was like, we're going to just be about premium cigars. And we're going to be about pipe tobacco. And now, so that's their thing. So I think they have that all wrapped up and handled. TPE is different in that, you know, the cigar section is here.
Right.
And then we have CBD stuff, and we have CBD, we have alternative stuff. We have a whole bunch of different products that don't really fit into PCA. So I know people like to hype up you know, you two are competing with each other, but I think we're two completely different shows. Yeah. So I think there's opportunity, and especially next year now, I think, you know, in May, you'll have opportunity to kind of get to meet retailers that you probably won't see at PCA, and then vice versa at their show. So it should be a very nice spring/summer for the manufacturers to build up new accounts, I would say.
Yes.
So that's
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I was looking forward to it. I kind of figured it would change because things aren't like moving in that direction, and it's really not far away.
Right, exactly. So that's what, like I said, when we were looking at things, an opportunity came up to move the show. The powers that be decided, let's go ahead and take this opportunity because it gives everybody more time to do it. But I know what we are trying to do is we are trying to keep the education stuff timely. So we are going to try to do some virtual things in January that the details of it are being worked out now. But that way we can still, because there's still stuff that people need to know how to do. So we're working on some marketing workshops and a lot of other different areas that will help everybody in the industry. Just for that January timeframe, since, you know, we're all going to be wherever. So we're working on a whole bunch of stuff. So there'll be more announcements and press releases and things that kind of lead up to that. So it's not like it's going to be a see you in May. You don't hear from TPE until then.
Okay, that's good. I didn't think. I mean, you guys, I can tell the way you operate. You both two different ways of operation. So I was happy. You know, I was gonna do it last year and it just didn't work out. But I was definitely on that train this year. So.
I know. I was like, because you and I talked about it, and I was like, go ahead, book that booth, get it sorted out. So I'm glad you'll be there, and I'm glad I'll be freed up a little bit more this May to walk around the show floor, because usually I'm occupied with all the education stuff. So I'm usually in a whole nother room, and I just like emerge after hours, dazed and confused, and the show is usually over for the day. So this year, hopefully I'll be able to actually walk around the show floor and do some videos and talk to people and get some stories done for tobacco business and cigars and leisure. So I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
So go ahead.
Ask me. As we I'm looking at the time, as we have about 8 or so more minutes left, what have you learned about yourself since you started this business? That's always one of my favorite questions to kind of see what people have learned from their experiences and their business.
I've learned people talk a lot of shit. No.
It's true. It happens.
No, I learned to be more patient and listen to my customers a lot more. Not saying I'm gonna change stuff overnight, but in the beginning, when you first come out with something, you want to be the best. You want to compete with that person. And as time is going on, I learned that regardless if you came in one day or you've been in for 20 years, that we're all the same. We're all under the same roof, so to speak. And we're all family. Everybody knows. I'll tell you what you need to know. Does it mean it's gonna happen for you? No. Does it mean it's gonna happen for me? No. So I don't mind sharing some of my experiences, and it made me very patient to where I'm trying to go. So it actually, from the beginning, I was like 100 miles an hour. Now I'm so calm. I'm like, it's gonna happen. I'm not worried. It's working. I'm not worried. So because it's a marathon, and I had to get my mind in tune to a marathon, and it's, as we build the brand and actually come out with more sticks, I know it's going to take time for everything to come out right. As we build more family relationships, as I build more relationships with customers that I want to be clients, as brick and mortars that I want to be repeat, clients, it's just going to take time. So I don't mind walking slow. So it's helped me just slow down and just not stress anymore. So I don't.
Now, for people who want to try your products, where can they find them? Where can they get them? How can they?
I got some great news. Everybody's been waiting. So we'll be restocked on the website. Will be back up on Saturday. So you can go right
Here's
ahead.
like some of your,
there you go.
People who need to know what to look for.
Yeah. So we'll be back up and running on Saturday. All the lines will be back up. We got some new stuff coming next week. We got next month. We got some wooden gift boxes for our variety for our sample pack. Something I did take from all of my people that I listen to is like people really appreciated the sampler pack, meaning they'll get all of the brands, all the blends in one pack, rather than a 5-pack or of one. So I'm gonna keep that going for a long time. So I'm gonna, I already got special boxes for those coming. So like I said, we're moving in a nice direction. So yeah, we'll be back. Website will be back up Saturday. We'll be restocked up, and I don't have to get 1,000 questions. When do we get Carolina Blue? When do we get Carolina Blue? So you heard it, and when it's gone, we got enough coming back to back that it shouldn't. We'll be restocked right away. So it's already good to go. I was just testing the waters for the customs, and that's why we kind of went out of stock, because I didn't know how long it was going to take. But now everything takes like a week to get it. So I'm happy about that.
Drop us what's your website address? What's
definitely.
Your social media handles? How can people get in touch with you if they
Carolina
have questions?
Blue Cigars. Everything. Carolina Blue Cigars, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. If you want to email me, you just throw a Chris at carolinabluecigars.com, and I'll get back with you. One thing I do is I do get right back to my customers. So everything Carolina Blue Cigars, and you'll reach me. Leave me a DM or leave a comment. I usually 90% of the time answer you back. That's me saying something crazy, but hey, I'm just like everybody else. So that's why I do that.
Yeah, and like I said, Chris has a story coming up in Tobacco Business Magazine in our September-October issue. So it'll be out digitally on September 1st, and then in print it will trickle out. However the mail stream
I know, right?
chooses to operate in September, it will trickle out at some point, so it'll be around. So you'll get to read more about Chris's story. And we're going to post that story in its entirety on tobaccobusiness.com sometime in September as well. And then we'll be doing a follow-up story in Cigars and Leisure at some point soon as well. So this definitely is kind of like the start of a lot of
right.
hopefully good press.
I think Amber had a question. Amber, you can reach me at Chris at CarolinaBlueCigars.com or on Instagram at Carolina Blue Cigars. Either one. Right. There you go. Everything Carolina Blue, under the Carolina Blue skies, even though Carolina has been gray skies every night.
I know.
At 6:30, 7 o'clock.
I'm so happy that we have, like, I've had to check to see if I jinxed myself, but that we have a blue sky today, and we had a little bit of a blue sky yesterday. So right. I think we're going to get our 2 days of blue sky before we go back to rain, cloudiness and humidity and all that usual North Carolina August, September weather. I
thought I was in Florida. I'm like, are we in Florida? Like,
I know.
Thunder, lightning. Am I in the wrong state? But yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. I deeply appreciate it. You know, I've been a fan since the first time I watched you. You know, you had all the power guys on. I'm like, wow, like who this guy know? But who this dude? But you know, it was a good thing. I was like, wow, you doing your thing. I really appreciate it, and you know, thank you for letting me come on and be one of your first small guys. You know. But we all family.
Well, I don't think anybody is small. I think some people get more attention than others, and I think that makes people think that they're small or big. But
I didn't want to say that, but you're right, because you know, it's a couple of we're not going to talk about them, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we won't go there.
No, we won't go there.
Like I said, thank you so much for being on today, and I hope people enjoyed this. And I know some people will be listening to it and watching it in playback mode. So we'll have to do a follow-up in the near future to touch on some of these new cigars that Damon was teasing on your behalf.
I can't wait. I'm very excited for that. It's probably going to take us to another level where we need to be. And then I'll chill for a while, let everybody get tired of those, and then I'll make something else.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to our next encounter. And thank you for being so responsive in your emails, because you are one of the best people to deal with in emails. Usually I'll have to wait 24 hours or more.
Thank you.
You're pretty quick about getting back to me. So I appreciate that. And like I said, I look forward to our next encounter, whenever that is. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Thank you. And be safe, everybody. Mask up.
Exactly, so we can get back to normal.
Exactly. Talk to you guys later.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.